Hey everybody, welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host Alex Lambert, and let's talk about NASCAR at Texas in the Lone Star State. Chase Elliott getting his second win of the NASCAR Cup Series season. A lot of other drivers having a lot of issues today. I can name off a large list: Larson, Bell, many others. Joey Logano with massive issues in the beginning of this race, causing them to have a bad finish. We'll break all that down. We'll take a look at the top 10. Of course, the points race is starting to become just more important as we get farther in the season. I'll break it all down. Let's go ahead and get into it. NASCAR at Texas. Just start out by talking about the overall race as a whole. What did we get from Texas? We got exactly what we thought we would see, which is a sketchy racetrack, a lot of single car accidents, and this has been the case with the next gen car. And if you remember, like 2021, 2020, we got a lot of similar issues at this racetrack. This has become I don't want to call it a wild card race, but for a lot of drivers, this has become a treacherous racetrack year in and year out. A lot of drivers have had hard wrecks here. A lot of your top drivers have had bad finishes here. It's a sketchy racetrack, which is the word used a lot this week, and the race itself backed that up once again. Overall, I still like the theme of this year that I've been saying. The racing is closer to 2018, 2019 style NASCAR Cup races. That didn't change today. If you wanted your chaos in the middle of the race or your storylines continuing to shift, well, you got it in this race. You got Corey Heim leading a lot. You got a lot of issues on pit road. You had single car crashes, cautions stirring everything up. So it was a straightforward race where Chase Elliott was the best car in the second half, but there was a lot of things to stir the pot in the middle of it. We even got a close restart there at the end of the race. I think it was 3 or 4 laps to go there after Corey Heim spun out. So we got that late race restart too. So an interesting race for sure. Let's talk about Chase Elliott getting the victory. You can just take a look at the final restart here. I think it's 3 laps to go, 3 or 4 laps to go here. But Alex Bowman just gives Elliott a massive push. This helps him just get slightly ahead of Denny Hamlin, but even more so important is just going to be being on the bottom lane, because the bottom lane was just better at this racetrack all day long. It has been for the last 5 or 6 years. The bottom lane at Texas is such an advantage because of the bumps in turns 3 and 4 and how sketchy this racetrack is. It's just hard for Denny Hamlin to really make much of a move to get past Chase Elliott. It's very rare that you see the pass be completed on the outside. In fact, a lot of times in recent memory, you've seen the car try to make the pass on the outside, suck around and back into the wall and wreck. That has happened quite a bit. So certainly Elliott with the massive advantage here, I think, on this restart, but Denny Hamlin tried to give it to him, but just didn't have the speed that Elliott had. And I think Elliott probably was the fastest car when everything cycled out, the fastest car in clean air, if that makes sense, which is certainly important, especially at a racetrack like this one. So huge win for Chase Elliott. A fantastic race season for Elliott, I think, so far this year. I think as the racing is spread out a little bit, you're seeing the best drivers, the best teams win more consistently. That's going to favor somebody like Chase Elliott. Denny Hamlin also finishing second, so certainly big. Let's take a look at the top 10 here. Chase Elliott is going to obviously win the race. Denny Hamlin finished second a few weeks ago at Martinsville to Chase Elliott as well. So Hamlin just not quite able to beat the 9 team right now when it comes to head-to-head battles. But Denny Hamlin, another top 2 or 3 finish, but not a win. So Hamlin's in contention. He's right up there, almost winning a lot of races, but has not won. He's only won 1 race so far this season. That was at Las Vegas. But Denny, man, if he just a few of these races can go just right instead of going just wrong, instead of finishing second or third, we could be talking about Denny having a 3 or 4 win race season. So yeah, he's right up there in contention. That tells me that he's going to continue to be a force to reckon with the rest of the season. Alex Bowman finishing third. I think this is really big. He finished third a week ago at Talladega, but it's just a confidence booster to an extent, but it also tells me a few things that Alex Bowman is not behind. If you see drivers that get injured and come back, they typically fall sometimes very far behind, and that could be a mentality thing. Losing the running laps is obviously very important. Experience, learning as you go throughout the season, that's a big thing. But like Eric Jones, when he got hurt a few years ago in a wreck, comes back, doesn't run as well. Chase Elliott's going to be the most notable in 2023. Came back, almost took him, I would say it took him over a year to really get over that hump back to where he is now. Elliott was winning. He won, 5 races in 2022, won none when he came back in 23, 1 in 2024. I think it was 1 more in 2025. Like, yeah, Chase Elliott, maybe it was 2 in 2025, but yeah, Chase Elliott finally recovering from that now. Took him a while. Alex Bowman finishing third at a racetrack like this and running well at these types of racetrack tells me that Bowman is not behind, or at least not as much as he could be. I think it's a positive to see Bowman finishing third 2 weeks in a row. And we're just glad to see him back in the race cars. Hopefully that continues, and hopefully, he continues to run very well. I don't know if he's going to win a lot of races, but at least running well is going to be a positive sign for that 48 team. Tyler Reddick just always finding ways to finish as good as he can. Like, Reddick is outside the top 10 to start the race, gets in the top 10, finishes fourth. Like, he's going to finish higher than he run all day. He turns a good day into a great day. Every single week, it seems like, and he turns his bad days into good days, like last week at Talladega when he had a bunch of damage, or Atlanta when he won with a bunch of damage. Chris Buescher finishing the 5th position. First time he's finished top 10 at his home track at Texas, so congratulations there to Chris Buescher in the RFK Ford. The other RFK Ford's not running as well as him today, or not finishing as well as him today anyway. Certainly interesting. They're usually very close together. Daniel Suarez, a nice 6th place finish, who's I think he's having a underrated, fantastic season. Suarez has struggled at other race teams, but it seems like, I don't want to say Suarez was struggling, but or I don't want to say that Trackhouse was bad or this race team was bad and Suarez was. I don't want to pick a side, but I think Daniel Suarez at Spire is just two puzzle pieces coming together. He seems happy there. Spire seems to love having him. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders right now, getting good results. They've got 3 drivers that they really have a lot of trust in, that they're really supporting, and I think it's just like two puzzle pieces coming together with Daniel Suarez and Spire, where I don't know if that has clicked as well at other race teams, like a Gibbs or a Stuart Haas when they were open, when he raced there for a year, or Trackhouse. This just seems like home for Suarez from an outside looking in race fan for sure. Carson Osavar, that other Spire Chevrolet, finishing 7th, was fast, but tried a kind of crazier strategy at the end of this race, which certainly it wasn't the worst case scenario, but it was not able to get him the win. He probably was a top 5 car, but overall finished in the 7th position on that, trying to run long on the final stint. Could have worked out. It was probably worth the risk with the win already this season. Then, of course, he still finished good with it. You still gain a lot of time on the quicker tires. It just takes you out of contention for a win. And then, of course, the caution came out, and he was able to get up to 7th. So a great finish there by the 77, I think. He's having a good year. William Byron finishing 8th, recovering from a spin earlier on in the race. That's also impressive. It's good to have that speed. Byron's been one of those drivers. I think all the Chevrolets have sort of been one of those drivers, maybe outside of Elliott and the Spire Chevrolets, but Byron's been one of those teams we've been like, okay, we know, I'm not saying he's run bad, but we know he's better than this. And he finished 8th today. Nice run. Bubba Wallace, Bubba Wallace got up tonight. Good for him. He was just outside the top 10 every time I looked at the scoring pylon, but a nice 10th place there to finish out the day. Ryan Blaney finishing 10th. The issues for Ryan Blaney is just always being behind, starting 30th. Or 31st or whatever it was, having bad pit stops. I think he made a mistake on one of the pit stops on pit road where he was in the wrong gear. Those are just issues that continuously put you behind, and it just gives you less options at the end of the race, which is why you end up finishing 10th. And I know 10th isn't terrible, but for Ryan Blaney, I feel like he's a driver this season that should be or could be in contention to win at most racetracks most weeks, and it's disappointing to see a team like that never really have a shot. Like, it wasn't like he was up front and something went bad. He was just always behind trying to catch up, which is once again what we saw today. We did have a few wrecks. Let's go ahead and break those down. Christopher Bell, while leading in stage 1, coming into stage 1, you see Gilliland spins out here, comes back, just barely clips Christopher Bell. I think it was Harvick in the booth said there's a driver it seems like every year that this happens to. Yeah, Christopher Bell, he's really good. We know it's another one of those drivers we know can do better. We know can finish better. We know can potentially win races. And just everything that can go wrong is going wrong, it feels like right now. So like Bell said in his interview, it'll get better. It's just frustrating right now for sure. All the way back to 13th in points. And Bell feels like, I'm sure he could be 5th or 6th right now if things would just go slightly better. Just if it goes wrong, if it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong for Bell right now. Certainly seems to be the theme of their year. Briscoe with some issues on pit road. This was one of those pit stops. I believe this was to end stage 1. We had a lot of chaos. You see Briscoe, Kyle Larson making contact. Joey Logano running over Cole Custer here. Essentially took Joey Logano out of the race. Massive damage there. A toe link bent. Man, that's just disastrous. This was a race. We've had a lot of concerning races for Logano all year. He's not running that well this year. I think the Penske Fords are very behind from what their normal standards are. And when you're having a solid day like this, like he did at Martinsville a few weeks ago, you got to capitalize on it. And last today puts him 17th in the points. That's just not great at all by Joey Logano. Ty Gibbs also going to be another one. Frustrating here, just getting caught up in that single car wreck. Yeah, very frustrating there for Ty Gibbs also to finish out the race. Let's take a look at those points now that we've looked at some guys that had bad finishes. Reddick still with a over 100-point lead. You see here the driver, the amount of points they have, how many points they are back from the leader. So Reddick is 0. Then, of course, you see the chase, the reset after 26 races, how far you are in or out of making that top 16 to be a part of that reset, to have a shot at the title mathematically. Obviously, you see Denny Hamlin trying to close the gap, but it's just hard to when you're not winning. Still 109 points. Elliott jumps ahead of Ryan Blaney, so now Elliott will be 3rd in the point standing. So it's still close. You see the best drivers at the top. Ryan Blaney falls a spot. Buescher up to 5th. I think this is a point system that really does favor Chris Buescher. Hocevar up to 6th. Ty Gibbs 7th. Kyle Larson falls back to 8th. William Byron holding 10th right now. So, yeah, certainly very interesting. You see guys like Logano starting to fall out. Chase Briscoe just 7 points in after another not great day today. Like, Briscoe's a driver I feel like we should be, can he get to 6th or can he get to 7th? Once again, the reset's not going to be even. It's not going to be 1 through 16th, 0. It's going to be an advantage for each spot higher you are, a 5-point advantage or more for the top guys. So, certainly you want to climb up as high as you can in the point. Seeding matters with this point system. So making the top 16 matters. I don't have a concern Briscoe won't do that. It's just how high will you be seated when the regular season starts, and take that advantage. Real quick, before we end the show, I do want to talk about a couple of drivers. First off, I want to talk a little bit about Corey Heim, because Corey Heim impresses me every time he gets in a car. First off, he's very impressive in the trucks, but he's also just impressive in the Cup Series. This was, I believe, his 3rd of 12 races this season. He ran well as a teammate in the Daytona 500, planned out everything well with them. I know he didn't get the good finish today. I know he had some issues today at the end, but for a driver that young, with that little experience, I think has done a fantastic job. I think he did a good job leading the pack, not making mistakes, but more importantly, I'm not concerned that he led laps while not pitting earlier. That wasn't massively impressive to me. He was just happened to be out front. Nobody was going to get by him because of the pit cycle. But it's interesting, he's constantly on the radio, hey, what are these guys doing so I can learn how to do that better? And he's trying to practice and run these laps perfectly. That is the sign of a really good driver, because the best stars have to be able to adapt and learn every day, like Denny Hamlin does. And it's just, I'm impressed by Corey Heim. I'll just go ahead and say that. I think we're going to see him in the Cup Series very soon. Like I said, I wasn't that impressed that he was leading the laps today just because of the circumstance, but I was impressed by how he's talking over the radio. Hey, how can I learn this? How can we do this? How can we get better at this? So he knows moving forward into his other races this season or in the future. So interesting for sure. I want to shout out to Kyle Busch as well with the new crew chief. Pullman left a week ago. Andy Street steps in atop the pit box this week. You saw a massive improvement in speed, right? I mean, you qualify 6th, running in the top 5 a majority of the start of the race, sort of falls a little bit, maybe running around 9th, 10th, or 11th. Then on the final lap, when he's running 11th, going for a top 10 spot, on the final lap, he gets into it with John Hunter Nemechek. So, kind of finishes 20th on the day. That's disappointing. I don't know. Just I don't like those mistakes. They just seem silly. To have it on the final lap. You need as many points as you can get. I know it's not a fantastic year, but that was frustrating. But if this new crew chief can help get some speed, and more importantly, some leadership in the team, I think that's good. Just listening to the radio, it just sounds like Andy Street sounds like a put-together guy that is leading the team well. If he can get the pit crew to run decent strategies, I think that's something that RCR, unfortunately, has been missing with Kyle Busch. So we'll see how that goes moving forward. That's it. Really all there is to talk about. And, of course, about Kyle Busch getting that top 20 today, I guess, but running well. Let's get rowdy.